This is Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. Tis the season to give stuff. If that's part of your holiday, then you can see to it that the people who produce the stuff get a fair share for their labor. That's the idea behind fair trade.
I love the concept of fair trade. I'm a union guy, have been my whole life, and so when I purchase things, I'm always looking for the union label. When I see that, I know that workers have a voice at their workplace, that their wages and benefits are pretty decent, and that the quality of the product is good. With fair trade, similarly, what I know is that the farm worker, the craftsperson, the artisan that made that product, they're getting a price that's closer to the value that they put into that product. I know that it's going to help them gain some self-sufficiency in this terribly difficult world we live in right now. And I also know that it's a stroke against kind of corporate greed and the race to the bottom that so many corporations have forced upon us all, particularly workers in third world countries. So fair trade products are a wonderful alternative. I tell my members to look for the union label, look for the fair trade label. At this store in Olympia, Traditions Fair Trade, have been shopping here for 11 years. This is where we buy all of our gifts for family and friends. It makes a difference in people's lives. What we're saying no to is exploitative working conditions, conditions where people still work 12, 14, 16 hours a day, in some cases slave labor, child labor. We're saying no to all the abuses that we overcame in this country over a century ago. So when you see the fair trade label, that's your sign, that the accreditation that these workers are getting the value of what they put into the product. Fair trade has gone way beyond coffee these days. For example, a fair trade soccer ball, also union made from Pakistan. So you can get everything from soccer balls to hats, to shoes, to pants, to garments, to chessboards, to musical instruments, to cards, to jams and jellies and hot sauces. So it leaves nothing to the imagination. Fair trade basically covers any type, almost any kind of product, commodity that you want to buy. As a moral position, fair trade basically says that we're going to pay people the value of what they've created. We're going to allow them to prosper through their creativity. That's the moral story here. Let's pay the value of the product. Let the person that made that product prosper.
Our state's adult family home providers are being pressured out of business. These providers are being saddled with a regulation to pay for extra insurance that should be paid for by the state. These homes care for thousands in a home-like setting.
Today, adult family home providers came to the Capitol to demand that their voices be heard so that the liability insurance rule would be stopped pending funding in the legislature. It's a crisis today. Adult family home providers make less than $2 per hour per resident, yet the state is forcing them to pay an expensive liability insurance program that is literally putting homes out of business. Today, 1,200 of the 2,100 adult family home providers have not complied with the rule for liability insurance coverage because they can't afford it. The state has threatened to take away the state contracts of those providers, which would put more than 4,000 of our neediest elderly, developmentally disabled, and mentally ill adults. They will be displaced. Will they go to nursing homes for twice the cost? What will the state do with these residents?
The quote that were given to us by different, at least 5 insurance companies, is more than $2,000 per year, and this will be on top of our own home insurance plus taxes. And our payment the payment that we receive for state-paid patient is barely giving us $2 per hour.
I'll be asked to leave the home I'm in because she can't afford to pay liability insurance. And I've already stated in the meeting, and I'll state here, I'm not going into a nursing home. Point blank. I've lived in one, and I didn't like the care I received. So why would I go back? When I moved into Pat's home, Banks Residence Inn, I weighed 295 pounds. I am now 144. I was able to get the personal attention that I needed to get that weight off in order for my health to improve. My mobility's improved. I walk every day. I exercise morning and night most days. And I wouldn't be where I am today without the adult family home and where I am. They're family.
The new French president is trying to change the nation's work week, claiming it would benefit the workers. The French workers don't think so. Through their unions, they are telling the government this appears to be a far better deal for the employers.
May 2007, France elected a new president, Nicolas Sarkozy. One of his main ideas proposed in his campaign was work more to earn more. The idea was so French workers could work more on overtime without paying more taxes, also giving employers many advantages on tax breaks and social security expenses. But how will this all work out for employers and employees? Emmanuel Mermet from CFDT Union in Paris tells us more.
Passed to the Assembly in July, so it's very new and it's not already applied in the companies. But the law says that all the overtime now is excluded from income tax and also from social security taxes for the employees. And for the employers, there is a reduction in the social security tax they pay on this overtime. So we are really concerned about the effect on the workers because in France the specificity is that this overtime is not chosen by the employee but by the employers. So it means that it's not up to the worker to decide if he wants or not to work more or less. But on the contrary, it will be up to the employer to decide whether the employee can work more or less. So it will create this new law huge problems because it was determined to increase the income of workers, but it's not up to the worker to decide, it's up to the employers. So it's a real tricky law because it will not give the employees a new bargaining power to choose their working time. And it's supposed to cost from 3 to 5 billion euros a year to the public spending, so it will be a huge amount of money. And we are particularly concerned because it could be much more if the companies, for example, decide to tell the people, well, you will have a working time agreement of 35 hours and you will work 40 hours. You are forced to do it because you have no choice. And if all the workers are paid like that, it will cost much more to the public spending. So this is why we think that the law has not well been prepared because it is made like an incentive, but we have no idea in France, in statistics right now at the moment, of the total amount of overtime which is really worked in this country.
Some measures can seem interesting, but like anything, you always have to read the fine print. Benjamin Marcus for Our View, Paris, France.
A look at our union history, here's Ross Rieder.
On December 1, 1930, the Kellogg Cereal Company adopted the 6-hour day. That experiment lasted at Kellogg's until the mid-1980s. The government of Finland has experimented with this aspect of work too. Quote, "I feel that I have more time for my family," said a child care teacher in Finland in response to a shift to a 6-hour working day. Being less hurried, she added, had an enormous impact on everything in life. Even though the Finnish experiments were not driven by the aim of furthering gender equity, they contained important lessons, both positive and negative, for achieving that goal. Enabling people to balance work and family responsibilities is a prerequisite for gender equality. The Finnish government provides social supports that encourage women to pursue full-time rather than part-time employment. Most women return to work immediately after paid maternity leave using state-financed child care. Schools and child care centers are organized on the assumption that both parents work full-time. Children are not sent home from school until the typical daytime work shift ends. In the United States, of course, the school day usually ends around 3 p.m., but the work day often extends to 5 p.m., 6 p.m., or later. The not-so-subtle message is that parenting and full-time work should not be combined. In the United States, the last major push for shorter work hours occurred in the 1930s. During the Great Depression, there was a strong movement for a 30-hour work week, and many companies experimented with shorter hours. As mentioned, one experiment with a 6-hour workday was launched by the Kellogg Cereal Company. The objective then was, as in Europe today, to share the work in a period of economic decline. At Kellogg's, the shorter work shifts were gradually feminized, transformed into women's shifts, and lasted until the mid-'80s. Today, Americans, on average, work longer hours than employees in any other industrialized country. Even in Japan, where long hours are considered normal, average annual hours are lower than in the United States. Both women and men in the United States work long hours, yet the U.S. government offers little support for child care or other services that would help American workers to balance work and family. Not surprisingly, there is a renewed interest in shortening regular work hours.
This has been Our View, the television voice of the Washington Federation of State Employees. We remind you that when you accept a paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. We wish you a very happy holiday season. We also wish the workers in France a joyous Noel. Railroad workers, teachers, public employees, and students are among those who are in the streets almost daily to remind their president that the workers will be included in the debates over the new labor laws.
Once used to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, raising the sound, going in the dance out in the towns, giving it ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Christmas.